Good evening. Evening stogie today. Man, have I had one hell of a week. It's been very interesting because being around my dad has taught me so much, and I've really been able to make up for lost time just spending time with him and listening to him. It's so funny because the easiest lessons are they're just like a couple words. My dad will give me advice. I used to pay coaches for like a couple months of coaching, and my dad will give me advice in 5 minutes, and I'll be through whatever issue I had in like an hour. Whereas before I used to be just be looping for like a week, sometimes be ruminating on something for a month. It's crazy. So my dad has been giving me some great advice. I had a couple things happen recently with some relationships that have seen their way out on both sides, and ultimately I don't blame anyone or anything. I will put it down to we've grown our separate ways. But it's been really interesting because I saw two relationships in a couple days just completely evaporate. And I was going back into old patterns a little bit with with just kind of freaking out and getting super anxious and feeling like I'm falling out of my power and all these things. And when I say power, I mean like me being confident in myself and my decision making and not questioning myself. Of course, do I still reflect it if I'm being a good person? Yes. But not falling out of like, oh yeah, no, you had good intuition in the beginning, like trust that. Self-trust, right? Connection with God. So I tell my dad the situation of what happened, and he goes, son, it's really simple. All you got to do is ask yourself when you're dealing with problems with people, is this person paying my fucking rent? He goes, seriously, ask yourself, are they paying your rent? Because if they're not, fuck them. And I just started cracking up. It was so funny. And I'm like, that's super kind of brutal, but it's like kind of true and honest. And I thought about it for a while, and I'm like, how much time have I spent worrying about people that I was in relationships with? And again, in a relationship with, we never signed a contract, we never signed an agreement. So I had my expectations on them, they had their expectations on me. Things fall apart, and they didn't go the way that I had it planned. And what ends up happening? Well, then I'm ruminating about it. My dad's like, just makes it very simple. Well, is this person paying your rent? No. Okay, then why are you worrying about it? It's just like a very simple way of saying go back to doing your shit. Um, if this person's gonna worry about you, well, unless they're writing you a check for your rent, they really can't set any expectation on you. I'm like, that actually makes so much more sense than the shit I've been buying into for years. Where I'm like, oh well, I spent time with this person and I invested a lot into the relationship, and we've been friends for a while, and like he made me dinner one time here, and I visited his family, yada yada yada. There's just like a long list. And ultimately, at the end of the day, with life, if we're gonna look at this from the most try to look at it from the most mature perspective, we all grow and we change and we evolve. And so, if we're going into the essence of what that is in life, if we're looking for divine truth, well, if we're all growing and evolving, that means that we are not ever going to be the same as when we first met. And so, the reason, at least for me, could be different for the people involved, but the reason that the relationships that have fallen apart for me were because I had changed into a different person, from a different standard. I know what my soul is, and the more I connect to it, the more my behaviors might change. But my soul is the most important thing for me. And so what I found is when I started stepping more into this, certain people in my life in different levels and different time periods would get mad, and they'd be like, "You're not the same person. You've changed." It's like, yeah, I have changed. And what is really interesting is when you do start changing, people who say they rooted for you might not be rooting for you anymore because you've changed. And so, like, they had standards and expectations, and you changed out of that because you're not at that level anymore. And so, like, did you write an agreement with a friend of a contract of every single thing that you're going to be doing in the relationship? No, that's ridiculous, right? Who would do that? Like, unless you get married and you have a prenup, then that's a different story. But with friends, it's really funny because I noticed people started putting expectations on me on how I'm supposed to show up and how I'm supposed to be messaging them or answering their phone calls whenever they want and all this stuff. It's like, oh, well, this is how the relationship was developed in the beginning. It's like, yeah, well, I'm not that person anymore. And I have my own life, and you're not paying my fucking rent. You're not paying my rent. So unless you start writing me a check for my rent, then we can draft up an agreement. But until then, we can call each other friends, and we can have expectations on how we show up as friends. If I'm being a dickhead, you can call me out on my bullshit, but you have zero right to try and gaslight me or tell me that I need to be living my life a certain way because you have expectations for how the friendship is supposed to be, and I never signed up for that. So it was just amazing seeing all this happen because I was in interesting power dynamics in the past where I would let friends who I looked up to, and they may have looked at me like I was a little brother. I let them kind of big dog me and bully me, and it's like when I stepped up, what did they want? They wanted to keep me down, and no fault to them. Like, they were probably just playing out or trying to play out the dynamic that was most comfortable for them. But you're not paying my rent, so we all, at the end of the day, have duties and obligations and responsibilities to our families and in ourselves and our communities. And so friendship is absolutely important. But a real friend, what I'm finding, this is taking me a very long time to find, a real friend is rooting for you on the sidelines regardless of where you are. And when I was going through all this, I had a very close friend that we kind of grew a little bit distant, but he was always rooting for me, and he was always in the back of my mind. And I was always just, anytime he popped into my mind, it was good feelings, good vibes. And when we reconnected, it was just like old times. And there's never been this pressure or this I need to have an agreement, or there's these expectations of how you need to show up and be just like me. And I found, at least for me and my values in my life, the friendships for me that have fallen have been the ones where the people have wanted me to stay the same. And it's been hard for them to see my evolution. And the closest friends and the closest friends that I've had on the other end of it too, that have always stayed, have been when we haven't been judging each other or been trying to force our own values and criteria onto them. And I've done that to other friends, and I pushed them away as well. So it's not like I'm a golden child here by any means. So there's that. And what this ultimately leads me to is, I was reading this book. I'll try and find it for you guys if you want to read it. I can't remember the guy's name. But he was essentially saying, he was diving into religion and all of these different concepts, and how a lot of people are seeking truth, right? And so when it comes to rituals and meditations and going and doing this thing, and every Sunday you have to go to this place and say your sins to this person, like those are rituals, right? And so the point he made more eloquently than I ever could on a video at this time. I'm not saying I won't be that at that level in the future, but in his book he was essentially saying, if you are seeking divine truth, what truth is a living thing. So truth is alive. Truth is found in the mud. You have to go and search for it. And his point in all of this of doing the rituals and going to all these things and listening to other people and outsourcing your authority is the issue for people as they're searching for things. So if you are only ever looking for the truth, you don't have to chase after it. You just sit and you observe, and obviously you're living actively in your world, so you're not sitting all the time, right? But the number one thing is you don't need all of these rituals at a certain point. Like I used to do 30-minute meditation every day because some guy told me to, and then I found on certain days I don't need to meditate. My life becomes a meditation because I'm in the essence of looking for the truth. And so the grander point of this, if we zoom out, what he was saying is people are looking for the truth from previous books. They're looking for the truth from practices from some person 2,000 years ago. I did this with Vipassana. They're looking for these truths. But if you want to zoom in to where the truth actually lies, it's living, it's being alive, it's being here now. That is where the truth is found. You have to find it by going on your own crusade. And so it is a very lonely road. It's very lonely. And I'm building community so I don't have to be alone on this road with people who care about this. But when you're looking for the truth, it's going to be very lonely at first. You're going to find people that tell you that they only honor the truth and they value it and it's their most important value. And then when push comes to shove, they ain't paying your fucking rent. So the truth, unlike the path is dead. The path is read this book. Read this book and study it. This book was written 2,000 years ago. That's the path. The path is already laid out. What he is saying is the spiritual evolution of the truth evolves with time. And so 2,000 years after Christ's birth, 2,000 years after Buddha, 10,000 years after XYZ Yuga or whatever it is, it's a different reality. And there may be universal truths that are built in, but you can only identify if those universal truths are true by living in this reality and finding them for yourselves. So ultimately, the whole lesson is you have to become your own truth seeker. If you are not a truth seeker, you are a truth follower. And if you're a truth follower, you will follow and fall into the false, emphasis on fall, you will fall into the false path. How crazy is that? I spent like 6 years falling into false paths, false traps. I only just got out of them. And so now I'm alive. Like go look back on my video that I posted 10, 11 days ago. 31 years old, $0 in my bank account, moved in with my dad. That's like me just going, I'm gonna rip it. I'm alive, and I'm just here living on my edge. And this is when I've dropped all my meditation practices. I've dropped all my disciplines and my needs to do XYZ in order to be in order to get my chakras aligned. All this crap. It's like, no, what is true for me today? Am I aligned with that? If I'm not, how do I go and dive deeper into this truth so that I can understand my connection to God? And when you build your own relationship with God, you don't need people to give you advice at all. Do you still reach out to people for camaraderie and mutual conversations, which end up helping support you in some way? Yes, absolutely. But when you become divinely connected to God, there ain't no one that can tell you anything, right? That doesn't mean emotions don't still come up. That doesn't mean that situations with other people don't still bother you or cause reactivity. But that's like, oh, I'm on my course to understand the truth more and more, and you get your hands dirty and you get lessons thrown at you left and right, and you are way closer to the truth than someone sitting in their room on a forum, or paying for advice in a $20 men's group, where it's just like, let me hop on a call with this guy who's gonna dive into my childhood wounds that I've already addressed 50 times with a therapist. So the truth comes when you go and you move forward. There will be a lot of people who are looking for the truth, because I have been, I don't know how many times I'm going to say it in this video. It's just like, oh my God, a deer in the headlights. I got a deer tattooed on my legs for a reason. I had seen, I have done so much shit in this life in the past 6 years trying to figure shit out. I have seen some shit. I have seen some shit, and I'm trying to tell people, I'm making these videos for myself. Someone messaged me the other day, like, you need to make your titles push on the pain points of people more. I'm like, I'm making these for myself. I'm making this for who I was 6 years ago. Because if I saw that 6 years ago, I would be in a much different position. My life is great. I'm not saying it's, I would want it to be any other way. But what I am saying is, I would have avoided many of these traps. There are many traps laid out in the den of spiders that is this life. So you seek the truth, you seek it deeply, and that requires you being very honest with yourself. And that requires, I'm speaking directly to the people who are extremely empathetic, compassionate, and just good people. That requires you grabbing your balls and your ovaries and really just sticking it to people who are fucking abusive. There are so many people who walk in this world who just completely take. They're just parasites. And they are here. God has given us them as a way to illuminate our own parasitic nature so we can expel it. Those relationships that I was in with people that I could claim have wronged me, I can't claim they wronged me because I allowed them into my life. And how did I allow them into my life? I probably had some of that behavior. I've had many lessons with friends and other people where I've just realized with the relationships now, the only way through them, in them, around them, just the whole essence of them, you got to get dirty in them, is to take full responsibility that it's a 50-50 road. It's a 50-50 road. I've had many men tell me, the woman that I was with was the problem. I'm like, okay, well, how much ownership have you taken on your part? They're like, oh no, it was all her. She was crazy. It's like, dude, how did you attract that? It's a 50-50 road. So if you're in a relationship with a partner who's supposed to be your mirror, well, then you got to look at the mirror. You can't be like, oh yeah, the mirror was broken when we got into the relationship. It's like, well, was it? If the mirror was broken, why did you buy it? Only a person that likes broken mirrors would buy a broken mirror. Only a person that sees themselves as a broken mirror would say, oh yeah, I need another broken mirror in my house to reflect my broken mirror, right? So I'm learning so much about my own wounds in relationships, and I'm doing my best to just hone in on what's true for what I get to focus on. And that truth is what's setting me free. That truth is what's connecting me to God. That truth is what's allowing me to discover the relationship with God at a level that no book could ever tell me. No book from 2,000 years ago in a completely different timeline is going to be able to tell me how I'm going to live my life now. Is it great for understanding connection and stories and how to live life? Yes. But we are all so unique. And some people would argue, well, there's only one one human that came down in the form of God. It's like, sure, yes, that makes sense. But we're all so unique. That was one experience of how God came down. What if God has come down in all of us? What if that's really what this reality is? God is trying to show us how we can all just understand that we're God. That will trigger some people. Like, oh, how can you claim to be God? Well, I'm not claiming that I'm the one chosen one. I'm saying we're all God. We're all a collective consciousness. And so any wound, any scar, any cut that someone gives you is just a really good way for us to look at how we've been damaged before, and then take the love and compassion for whoever harmed us, if that was the case, or whoever we harmed, and feed it back to ourselves, which is pure love and compassion, knowing that mistakes were made and challenges were had, and we get to grow because of it. And if people are not in your life any longer because of that, that's a part of God's plan. But there can't be this hard set belief that fate is here and everything is just fate. Like, we are the writers of our reality, and we can only write the highest form when we go straight for divine truth. Straight for it. It will sting, it will hurt, and you will have to have people sometimes hold your eyes open, but you're asking them to. That's the only way you can actually see the truth. So, look at that. I mean, what a wonderful life to live. I've had many emotions where I'm just like, what is this reality I signed up for? I truly believe we're all souls who maybe jotted our name on a line and jumped down here and said, yeah, sign me up, I'm going down. And on the days when it sucks, you just gotta be like, hey, I signed up for this. I signed up for this. Well, you guys all have a wonderful day. Another video and podcast tomorrow, as always. Get out into the world and get your hands dirty. Go muddy up those relationships. I'm not saying destroy them, but follow your truth. Follow your truth. Say things that are true to you. See what happens. See how people start to change. See how the people who don't want to pay rent for you are telling you you have to do something in your own house. You have to live this way. You have to have your room this way. You have to be ordered this way. It's like, dude, this is my house. My house, my rules. Okay, well, I want to tell you how to live your life, so I'll start paying you rent. Well, I actually don't want you to pay any of my rent. So we can still hang out. You can be my neighbor. That's as far as it goes. You're not paying my rent. This is my house. Keep your dog and your dog shit over there. I'll keep my dog and his dog shit over here. And if he ever shits on your lawn, I'll pick it up and I'll apologize. That's it. God bless. Enjoy your evening.